The question is, what should the U.S. Navy do to protect our interests with allies and partners in Southeast Asia? I think several issues. The first is, I think we're overburdening our treaty allies in East Asia generally. I think we need a new set of partners, not to abandon those we've worked with for decades, but to lessen the burden on those we've worked with for decades and to seek new approaches to states that have growing equities in helping protect their own maritime security and also help protect our interests. That means states that we don't have long-term military relationships with, including former adversaries, Vietnam, possibly Indonesia, possibly Malaysia. So the issue is to develop new relationships for a couple of objectives. One would be to give us rotational access. We're not looking for permanent bases, but I think the Navy would benefit from a rotational arrangement that would surge U.S. capabilities into the region when we need them. But that means you need places for these ships to call. You need to be able to support the fleet. And we are rebuilding a basing network that has atrophied over the years. So that would be the first major set of issues. The second would be to seek what I would call a coalition approach. We're not going to be able to create a new alliance in the region. That's not politically possible. But coalitions of the willing, particularly those South China Sea states who are disputing claims with China, both PRC and Taiwan, are creating tensions between the states, not just between the U.S. and Japan, or between the U.S. and China, or between China and the states in the region, but among the states themselves. So the second part of the strategy would be to seek a more proactive approach, if not to settling the South China Sea disputes because they're complex, at least to making clear what the costs are of people using coercive means to settle those disputes. And that's how I would describe China's policy, and I think that has to change. One way to change it is to incorporate our partners and some of our allies into a renewed effort in greater U.S. presence in the region.